Hello and welcome to Ardagh Rugby's site induction. The induction lasts about 20 to 25 minutes and it's important that you look at all of the slides and take in the information. Any questions you have, it might be worthwhile jotting them down, and the person finishing off the induction will take the questions and give you the answers to those. Entry to site. Entry to site. For all visitors, they need to sign the COVID-19 declaration form at the gatehouse before coming into the site. All visitors will have their temperature taken before entry to site and have their COVID-19 negative test results verified. Day visitors, they need to sign in at the gatehouse and they'll receive a visitor's pass, the site rules and a car parking pass if necessary. Contractors will need to sign in at the gatehouse and then go to the reception where they'll be met by their contact and taken for this induction. COVID-19 control measures. All COVID-19 control measures must be adhered to whilst on site. You must sign the declaration form before entering site. You must go through the thermal screening cabin when entering site. Always maintain 2 metre social distance. Wear a face covering when in shared areas, and the face covering must cover your nose and your mouth at all times. 1 person per table in the canteen / welfare area. Make sure you wash your hands frequently and use hand sanitizer. Adhere to any one-way systems that are in place and do not hang around in corridors, etc. Avoid sharing tools and equipment, and if this is unavoidable, clean down the tools or equipment before you use it. Avoid sharing pens. COVID-19 face coverings. Now it's important that we wear the face coverings correctly. So don't wear loose fitting masks that could come down during your day or when you're talking. Don't touch the front of the mask if you can help it, but sometimes this is necessary to readjust your mask. Don't share masks and make sure that when you've finished with your mask, you dispose of it correctly. So the best way to do this is to fold your mask in half and then fold your mask in half again. It'll save it from blowing round if it's an outside bin. COVID-19 glasses fogging. Now we know this is a problem. I suffer from this problem myself, and there's different ways that suit different people. The top method is a tuck method, which suits me quite well, and it's where you have your glasses on top of your mask slightly forward, and it means that the hot air is not hitting your glasses all the time. Give this chance because it takes a couple of minutes to adjust and get the heat into your glasses. There's also the tissue method, where you fold a tissue and sellotape it to the top of your mask, as in the picture in the middle on the right. This is useful to some people. And finally, there's a soap method, so you can wash your glasses in soap, rinse off and then dry, and this will alleviate the steaming up of the glasses. If you need to stop work in order to clear your glasses, that's fine, but it's important that we keep the masks in place. As a part of this induction process, you may need to fill in an induction check sheet. You'll be asked to fill in who you are, your next of kin or emergency contact, just in case something happens to you and we need to get in touch with them quickly. Who you work for, your company, what work you'll be carrying out whilst you're on site, and where you'll be working on site. How long you'll be working here. This is just a rough indication, whether it's 1 day or whether it's a week or a month. And this will allow Ardagh Group to initially assess the risk and act accordingly to protect you. You'll then be asked to read, understand, agree and to abide with your company's risk assessments and method statements. You'll be asked to declare if you're using any types of machinery, plant or equipment, and then to prove your competence, and that's normally by licence or certificate. You'll then sign the induction form saying that you've understood it and you agree to abide by it, and you have read and understood the COVID-19 control measures that are on site? If the answer to any of the above questions is no, action will be required to resolve this before you start work. All persons must understand this induction and the COVID-19 control measures before they enter site. Induction check sheet. Do not start work unless you have read, understood and agree to abide by your company's risk assessments and method statements, and you've signed and printed on it somewhere. Do not use plant, equipment, machinery or tools unless you are competent and have supplied the current competency certificates, for example for forklift trucks, MUPs, which are scissor lifts or boom lifts, or constructing scaffold, etc. Personal protective equipment. It's your employer's responsibility to supply you with the correct PPE, and it's your responsibility to use it correctly. Mandatory PPE on site are hearing protection, so standard hearing protection only, no musical devices, bump caps, safety footwear which is steel toe capped and anti-slip, safety glasses or over glasses if you wear spectacles, high-vis vest, waistcoat or jacket. Blue tape is required for wedding rings, so you're only allowed to wear a plain wedding ring, but you need to cover that with blue tape. No jewellery, no watches, etc. Gloves need to be worn that are appropriate to the task and as highlighted within your risk assessment and method statement. And any other PPE required for the activity to keep you safe. Contamination prevention. So this site is a food factory, and so we have some special rules that we need to adhere to in order to keep the product safe. So cans are being produced nearby and protect the integrity of the product at all times. Do not wear anything which may cause a contamination within the production area, so anything that may fall off and end up in a can. No jewellery, chains, rings, piercings, etc. No watches, no music headphones, and you need to keep the insect screens on the exterior doors closed. Wash your hands after you use the toilet and before entering the production area. Always replace covers on top of the conveyor if you remove those. Airborne dust contaminates cans, so this must be adequately controlled. When working above the production area, be aware of the risk of contamination. If lines are running nearby, then they should be covered and screened off if necessary. Empty cans, pallets and layer cards should not be used for any other purpose. Conduct on site. BBS, Behavioural Based Safety. So the site operates this system, and BBS is a system to encourage safe working for all. Individuals carry out observations on each other, including contractors. The results are recorded for monitoring purposes, and anybody can be observed. Persons being observed are not named. They're not looking to blame anybody, they're looking to increase the safety on site. Cards are available at the entrance to the production area, and your completed card can be given to your supervisor or dropped in the box near to the production office. Mobile phones. Use of mobile phones is not permitted whilst you're working or whilst in the production area, except for authorised personnel. This includes checking the time. The use of mobiles for personal calls should only be made during rest breaks. If you have an emergency and you can see that you have to answer something, then you need to remove yourself from the production area and take yourself to somewhere safe. Conduct on site. Remember, you have a duty to yourself and your colleagues to maintain a safe working environment at all times. It's your responsibility to ensure that you are working safely. If you don't, then you'll be stopped. Do not indulge in horseplay. All operatives must work in accordance with our site induction, which details the control measures to be adopted to reduce the risk to an acceptable level. All operators working on site must have read and signed the induction paperwork and agree they have understood the control measures. Certain RDAR policies are applicable to everyone on site. For example, bullying and harassment policy, drink and drugs at work policy. If you need more information on these policies, then contact the HR. Hazards within the site. Now these are just a list of probably 10 hazards, but there are going to be more than this, and you need to be aware of these. So there will be noise, flammable liquids, cutting fluids, chemicals, forklift truck movements, heavy goods vehicle movements in some areas, high-speed equipment that starts automatically. There could be confined spaces, working at height and or roof work, wet and slippery floors, plus more. You need to be observant. HitNot device. Wearing of a pad, a personal alarm device, and a high-vis vest in the warehouse is mandatory. The HitNot is a proximity detection system, and this technology uses magnetic fields to detect people and traffic danger. You take a pad from the charger and place it in a pouch or hang it around your neck with the lanyard. When you leave the warehouse, return the pad to the charging area, and chargers are located next to the baler area and to the finished pallet area. I'll show you a picture of this on a map in a minute. So when a pedestrian enters a forklift's warning zone, shown in yellow in the picture above, both his pad and the forklift's alarm will give 3 beeps and lights to warn of the threat. You need to be able to see this, so don't put it into your pocket or into your bag. It needs to be on the lanyard or in the pocket of the special high-vis vest. When the pedestrian enters the danger zone, shown in red, the pad and the alarm will sound and the light continuously until the threat is over and the pedestrian is out of danger. Now this system is not foolproof. It's part of a number of systems to keep you safe. So if you are using this, it's not the only thing. You still need to be observant. You still need to stick to the walkways where possible. So it's in your hands to keep yourself safe, but this is just one of the things that will help you. This picture here shows the bottom end of the factory, mostly the warehouse, and you can see the yellow dots are where the HitNots are located. So you will use the HitNot on the right hand, the HitNot charging station on the right hand and the middle of this picture. Forklift trucks. Be aware of forklift trucks present around the site. They're mainly in the warehouse, in the loading bay and outside, but they can be anywhere within the site. Contractors are not permitted to use RDAR's forklift truck unless given prior written approval. Assume forklift trucks always have the right of way, whatever the circumstances. Do not put yourself within 2 meters of a forklift truck. Keep to the designated walkways. Forklift trucks should sound their horn to notify of approach. Please be aware of your surroundings at all times. Forklift trucks. Always carry out pre-shift checks for the forklift truck. Wear operator restraints where fitted, so the seat belts. Look all around before moving off. Look in the direction of travel. Travel at a speed that is suitable for the location and the load that you're carrying. Travel with the forklifts lowered but clear of the ground. Watch out for pedestrians and watch out for obstructions. Avoid sudden stops and violent braking. Slow down at corners, doorways and every danger spot and sound your horn when necessary. Apply the parking brake when leaving the forklift truck. Face the lift truck and use steps and handholds when getting in or out to save any unnecessary falls. Forklift trucks. Never operate a forklift truck unless you are trained and authorised to do so. Never use a forklift truck or equipment you know is not working correctly or properly. Never operate controls from outside the cab unless it's designed so that you can do this. Never stand on or near the controls to reach the load or anything outside the cab. Never travel on uneven ground unless the forklift is suitable for this. Never run over unprotected cables or flexible pipes. Never try to carry out repairs. Leave this to the qualified maintenance engineers. Never operate a lift truck when under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And never use mobile phones or handheld devices whilst operating or travelling. Forklift trucks. All forklift trucks are monitored via our Toyota online system. This means the forklift truck shocks, bumps and contacts, they are recorded. It is a requirement that all forklift trucks' contacts and impacts are reported and documented without fail. All contact impacts made should be treated as an incident and logged in the hazard book. Any non-reported incidents may result in disciplinary action. On average, 5 UK workers each working day suffer debilitating and life-changing injuries, including complex fractures, dislocations, degloving and amputations, so not small accidents. Operating plant and equipment. Only trained and competent persons with a current certificate submitted and checked by Ardagh Rugby to operate plant and equipment. Plant and equipment must be checked in accordance with legislation, daily, weekly, monthly, and these checks must be recorded. Plant and equipment must have all statutory thorough examinations and inspection certificates. Keys are not to be left in unattended plant or equipment to prevent unauthorised use. Vehicles must be parked safely and charging cables must not cause a trip hazard. Electrical work. Electrical work can only be carried out by a competent, qualified person. High voltage work can only be carried out by an appointed person. Follow the Electricity at Work Act and regulations. All portable and transportable electrical equipment must be PAT tested and have a certificate. All portable tools must be 110 volts. Do not use anything that is faulty or damaged. Overhead working and working at height. Overhead working. Make sure that the fall zone, so anywhere that an object could fall into, is cordoned off below the work. Make sure there's a person below to ensure no entry and maintain a sterile area, so if anything does fall, it falls to the floor and doesn't contact anybody. Signage to explain the reason for the cordoning off to be installed, and if an area is fenced off or guarded off, do not enter. Falling objects can cause serious injury and in some cases death. Working at height. All working at height must have a risk assessment and method statement approved before work can start. All working at height to have a permit to work issued. All persons working at height must be trained and competent to carry out the activity safely. All working at height equipment must be inspected before each use, so a pre-use inspection. And all working at height equipment must have a current thorough examination certificate that is in date. Use the hierarchy of control measures for working at height. So ask yourself, can you avoid working at height? Is there another way of doing it? Can you prevent a fall? If you can't do these things, can you mitigate? So can you make the consequences of a fall less? If you need help with this, contact the health and safety department on site. No person should be put in a position where a fall from height could occur. Waste and environmental controls. Do not empty any substances into the drain before first consulting with the relevant member of staff or project manager. Pay attention to signs on waste skips for the correct segregation and do not mix waste. Inform the shift manager immediately in the event of a major spill, and any land contamination should be reported to the local environmental authority by the EH&S team leader. Fire prevention. Smoking is strictly prohibited on site, and this includes vehicles. It also includes e-cigarettes and vaping. There is one designated smoking shelter on site. This is located outside the canteen. If the shelter is full, please wait your turn. You must remember to social distance. You're at risk and you're putting other people at risk during smoking occasions because you aren't wearing your mask, but therefore you need to be 2 meters at least apart. Anyone caught smoking in any other area will be subject to the appropriate action being taken. Hot work requires an appropriate permit to work. Fire prevention. Hot works. In principle, hot work is not allowed anywhere, including outside, except for the welding bay. Before any hot work can be considered, an alternative method assessment form must be filled in and signed by the authorised plant representative and the plant manager. If there is no other method possible, a hot work risk assessment must be completed by the project engineer or by the engineering manager. A permit to work must then be completed, and this must be signed by the plant manager. When work is completed, the area is to be watched for 1 hour, so a 1 hour fire watch. The permit can be signed off and returned to the plant representative. Fire evacuation. If you discover a fire, do not take risks and do not put yourself in danger. Do not attack the fire unless you're trained and it is safe for you to do so. Raise the alarm by operating the nearest alarm call point, and that looks like the picture above the red box. Leave the building by the nearest safe route and close the doors behind you. Report to the fire assembly point, which is located in the upper car park near to the gatehouse. Stay there until instructed to do otherwise by the ERT or a manager. Please familiarise yourself with the exits and the alarm call points in your area. Emergency response. There is a fire alarm test every Tuesday at 11 o'clock. There should be no need to evacuate. Start and finish these tests will be announced. You need to know where the exits are located, and exits have signage. A continuous tone signal means evacuate. Do not stop to collect belongings and report directly to the assembly point in the car park. If it is a false alarm, then a member of the management or ERT will say when it is safe to go back into the building. Accidents, first aid and near misses. Report all accidents and near misses to the coordinator, team leader or shift manager. All accidents must be reported in the accident book. If you see a hazard or have a near miss, let us know so we can take action to prevent this from happening again. Near miss hazard book is located in the production office. If you have an accident or feel unwell, ask to see a first aider. A list of the first aiders are on a list in the canteen. If you have or develop any physical or medical conditions which could affect your personal safety on site or the safety of other persons, you must report such a condition to the ARDA site manager so that you can carry out a risk assessment to reflect these conditions. This information will be kept strictly confidential. Housekeeping and 5S. Housekeeping is the foundation of safety and is an important factor for improving safety. Clear work area of redundant items, for example rags, parts, containers, pallets, etc. Leave the area in the same condition as you find it, or better. 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the day must be used to clear your area of any rubbish or items that may cause an accident or a fire. Lockout tagout. Before any maintenance or engineering work is carried out on any machine, it must be isolated from all sources of energy. It's not enough just to turn off the machine. The energy sources and residual energy must be made safe. It must never be assumed that an electrical circuit is dead until it is proved to be so. Residual energy must be removed and the machine process made safe before any work can take place. All isolations must be secure to prevent inadvertent re-energizing. Each person must have their own lock on the isolator. Permit to work. Permits to work are required for the following activities and tasks. General permit to work, which is normally weekly. Hot works, which will be daily. Confined space, which will be daily. Working at height. Electrical work. Roof access, which will be daily. And access to the waste water compartment. These are issued by the ARDA engineering team in charge of you, and once complete must be signed off and cancelled. Main corridor. Picture here shows the main corridor, and as you walk down you can see that the canteen is on the left, the male toilets are on the right, and if you continue down to the bottom and turn right, it'll take you towards the production office. When you turn right, you will see the scene on the left here, and you can see that the visitors' hygiene area is here, and that's where you should be washing your hands, drying them before going onto site. The right hand picture shows you the entrance to the production office and an entrance through to the first aid room there as well. In the production office there will be the hazard and near miss book, and the production area main door is straight in front of you. You must make sure that you got all PPE worn correctly before you enter through this door. Welfare facilities and the location of toilets. So men's toilets are located in the production area over near the front end, and they're in the changing rooms opposite the canteen, and there are some on the first floor of the main office block. Ladies' toilets are on the ground floor of the office block, first floor of the office block, and there is one toilet in the production area, entrance to the engineering department upstairs, on the left, first door at the top, and the key is in the engineering office. Welfare facilities, food and drink in the canteen. The canteen is open from 8 till 2 for purchasing hot food. There are a number of vending machines for hot drinks, cold drinks, and for snacks. There must be one person and one person only per table. Eating and smoking is not permitted in the production area, storage area, or car park areas. No drinks to be taken into the production area. Drinking in the production hall is permitted only at designated water fountains. Dispose of food and packaging in the appropriate place using the bins provided. Final summary. Sign in and out daily using the register in the gatehouse. This is used for fire roll call, so it's very important. Sign our completion form. When you leave site, please return your pass to security so they can confirm that you've left site. This is in the case of emergency where roll call may be required. We don't want somebody, the fire brigade, having to go into the site when you are not on the site. It puts them in danger. If out of hours, return the pass to the shift manager so they know you've left site. This is in case of any emergency and roll calls are required. All contractors require an induction every 12 months. Thank you for your time and your cooperation, and just remember, it's safety first. So the induction's finished now. Any changes to this induction will be presented to you now by the person completing the process. If you have any questions regarding the induction, please raise these now, and thank you for your attention.